bids are in, the gavel is dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right, this is WineBid's podcast dedicated to all things wine auctions, wine value, wine retail, and just wine. With you as always, I am Jeff McGurn on WineBid's marketing team. And of course, with us is the expert enophile, Paul Walker. That's right, he is the expert in all things related to wine. He is a wine expert, unequivocally.
Wrong.
Discard what he's saying at the moment and just listen. He's not an expert on whether or not he's right or wrong. He's just an expert on wine. So, Paul, welcome to the podcast. We're going to be talking about all the amazing French wine coming to auction this week. Let's start off with, oh my God, did you see, do we have any Lafite coming into auction this week by chance? Feels like there's a ton of Lafite.
There's quite a bit.
Auction.
Yeah, quite
57, 64, 70, 71, 79, 81, 82, 85, 86, 87, 89, 89, 89, 89, 89, 90. So if Lafite is your thing, get on your Lafite and run to the computer and bid on some Lafite.
Oh boy, that's a new low. That is wow. That is quite the sales pitch there. Yeah, you should be in marketing. That's really amazing.
That's why I get paid the big bucks, Paul, to come up with things like that, right? We've got a bunch of Mouton as well, including an 82 and an 86. We've got some Chateau Margaux. But the one thing that I thought was pretty cool was this 3-liter, this double mag of Latour, 75 Latour for $15.25. I actually thought that was a really good deal for 75 Latour.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that great of wine, first of all, but yeah, no.
Oh, it sucks. 75 Latour sucks.
No, it's just that I have a buddy who is born in 75, and every year we, drink birth year wines. And we've had 75 Latour on a couple of occasions. It's not like, the 90 or the 61 or the 59 or a whole host of other vintages, but it is cool to see a 3-liter. So for a 50th, upcoming 50th birthday, that would be a great gift for sure.
What about this? We also have an 03 Latour in the 750 range, is like 750 milliliter in auction as well. 88 costs. We have 10 of them for $180 a piece. I have my eye on that one. This 75,
that's good. 88 is really good. And it's less than, all the sort of high score vintages, because that's one of those wines, kind of like Pichon-Baron, Pichon-Blanc, that's very score dependent as far as how expensive it is at auction. And the 88 cost is great, and it's under $200. And I think, if I'm not 180, like the 89 and the 90, like all those other banner vintages are well over $200. So
well over, some getting into like $300.
Yeah, the 82s I'm sure over 300, but. It's funny you mentioned like Lafite and the different first grows, because I kind of tried to be a little selective, and I picked 90 Lafite because it's phenomenal and it's still not insanely expensive. It's $750, and then I picked the 86 Mouton because I think that wine will last for years. It's just so phenomenally good, and it's quite a bit less than the 82 and the 15, I think, which really knocked it out of the park. And also the 2000, which I think is in this week. Anyway, the 86 is at $835. And those were my two first growth picks this week. They're just wines. So
what about this 75 Petrus, right? $2,100.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff too. That is incredible.
And by the way, we have one at $2,100 and we have one at $1,895. But I think the one at $2,100 is just in like really good condition.
Yeah, probably. The other bottles, are they both new this week? No.
Yeah. One's new.
Yeah.
There's $2,100 one is new.
Both have signs of past seepage, which is never something you are, really want to see. But with these old bottles, the inspectors are extremely, extremely careful at looking, very closely at the foil and everything. And so it's going to get rejected if it has, it has any kind of seepage that looks concerning, but in any event.
We got a couple of mags of the 85 Lynch Bage, which epic vintage of Lynch Bage. I've had this, as I've mentioned before. I still think, $460 for a mag. That's actually a decent price for that, for that mag.
Yeah,
I bet you that's screaming right now.
Yeah.
89 Cheval Blanc for $550.
One of my other picks, because that is great wine too. It's really, really, really good.
And this 86 Lamazan Aubryon, we actually have a bid on it for, it was at 305. Now it's at 325 with one bid. And we've got the 89 with a bid, and that one's at 1220.
Yeah, it's a score. It's just like
the score.
It's the damn score. Yeah, buy the 86.
Buy the 86. It's a great bottle. It's a phenomenal wine, right? Say, take that. Actually,
because it's because the 86 got a 90-point Parker score from, probably who knows how many years ago, 35 years ago or something. So
buy 4 bottles of the 86.
Go for it.
Right. Buy 4 bottles of the 86. We've got 9 bottles of Montrose.
89 is really good.
89 is really good. Well, I mean, look, if money's not an object, then okay, yes, go buy the 89.
Right.
But if you're looking for value, I would say the 86 provides tremendous value. A bunch of the Montrose, we have a bunch of the 82 Montrose at $280 a piece. I know you're not a big fan of Montrose. 86.
What are you talking about? It's amazing. Well, have you ever had the 90? No. It's fantastic. You should get some.
You always criticize me for liking Montrose.
No, I don't. I just say you bring it up every time. You're once again misconstruing.
That sounds like a criticism. How is that not a criticism?
It's not. It's criticism
of you. Your tone. You bring it up every time.
The Montrose is
roll your
fantastic.
eyes, right? You have.
82 is another example. 82 is another example of a score-dependent wine. It got a low Parker score. A 92, there were it's under $300, from obviously arguably the best vintage in the last 45 years or something. But the 90 and the 89, now the 89, we were talking about this a few weeks ago, because I think the 89 ended up getting bid beyond the 90 in one of the auctions. It was went for over 500 or something, but
anyway, now it's at 465.
465,
right?
Yeah. So it's not cheap, but then the 86 is in at 195. I don't think I've had the 86. If I have, it's been a long time, but
the 96 is at 180. And then there's a mag of the
96 at 180. That's cheap. That is cheap.
Yes. I was like, that seems like a really good deal to me, Absolutely. But in fact, I may, maybe I'll go do a little bitty on that one.
I'm looking at Parker's score, 82 score, to see when it was reviewed. 82 Montrose.
But that's
William Kelly. William Kelly. Let's see. I think we need to update our scores here. Let's see. What does it show on the site right now? 82 shows Parker 92. Yeah, no, William Kelly re-reviewed it more recently. Yeah, actually last year, at the end of last year, and gave it a 91. So continues to drink very well at age 40. But
look, the 82 Wine Spectator 96, Jancis Robinson 19, and then Robert Parker 92. Like, which of these scores is not like the other? Right. So I don't know. But what do I know? I'm not the expert you are. The 89 Angelus mag for $780, and we have 6 of those. And let me just say, the 2022 Angelus was released at $435, so $780 for a mag of Angelus from 89 seems like a decent deal to me. Anyway, but what do I know about math? But I feel like if you run the math, a mag of Angelus today would release at $870. So $780. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot
for actually that doesn't sound too bad to me either, because that's just unbelievably great right bank vintage. So that's a great bottle. Oh, there's 2 of them.
There's 2.
No, there's 6 of them. Excuse me. Yeah.
So, no, there were 6. There were 2. There's 6. And I know that you just do not like any of the people at Cellar Tracker But let me just say that
I love Cellar Tracker. I
buddies,
use it all the time. I just like to be critical of the reviews
of me and my friends.
Well, yeah, of you first and foremost, absolutely, and
me
then
first and foremost, and then everybody else is Cellar Tracker.
The reviews on Cellar Tracker. No, it's a great resource, because where else are you going to find, like sort of the most recent, somebody who's just had it, like sometimes within a day or so. When you look, I was looking at a wine the other day, and somebody had it the night before. I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
it's super helpful.
That's why I love Cellar Tracker. Is like people, especially when I'm buying stuff that is, has a little bit of age on it. Like you just said, like I can look up and I can see, like, if the last four notes are, wow, this thing is toast, then I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If you're reading, four different reviewers, and they all seem to have this kind of universal hatred for the same wine. Like, I don't know, this is probably not going to be that great. But it is incredibly, it's an incredible resource for sure. Well, especially if you're like trying to pick between a couple of different bottles to bring to dinner. You're like, or, you look at a wine list at a restaurant, you're like, oh, is this Barolo like showing yet? They've got all this. It's like when you go to some place where all they have is younger wines. You're like, shoot, I need to find something that's going to show better, at a young age. And
well, that's most places. And that's my biggest issue with restaurant, even a lot of restaurants that have great wine lists. And I understand why, like it's a logistical thing for them to be able to procure older wines or in their window, store them and stuff. It's very difficult to do. That being said, it's like you go to a restaurant and they're like, oh, I've got a 2019 Angelus. And it's like, well, do I really want to pay all that money to drink Angelus today when I know, I can go grab this 1989 Angelus, which, by the way, the last tasting notes in Cellar Tracker there were 4 tasting notes from April of this year, and all of them from different people have it pegged as being just phenomenal right now.
Yeah.
So out of a mag, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I would add too on this topic that you probably wouldn't be surprised to know how many restaurants buy wine from us to stock their restaurant list, because it's such a good resource to find, mature examples that you can show off on your restaurant list.
It actually
gaps and verticals and everything else.
What surprises me is that more restaurants don't buy wine from us, because it is because you can go get Angelus for less than release. Like, it's actually cheaper to go buy the 89 than it is to buy some of the recent vintages, and it's in its drinking window.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
The 2000 Pichon Baron for 205, the 2022 released at 175. So you're looking at $30, plus commissions. And, so, okay, $60, $70 gets you.
That's great. Do you see the mag of a 2005 Pichon Baron?
I did. 320.
Yeah.
I saw the mag.
That's a deal.
And we've got the 03 at 150. So I don't know. I look at some of these and I'm thinking to myself, like, these are actually a pretty good deal for Pichon Baron, because this stuff is just steadily going up and up and up. And when you think about it, like, somebody else has stored it for you for 23 years for the cost of $70. I mean, go find me storage, for $70 for somebody like, for 23 years, I'll hold your wine and refrigerate it. This 89 La Conscience, we have 3 of those for $320 a piece. We've got the 17 at $160. Let me just say, the 2022 La Conscience released at $309. So essentially, for $11, someone has stored it for you for 34 years for $11. Plus like, commission. So let's say $70. But again, I think that's a pretty good deal. I'm not sure I could run my AC for a month for $70. Also 89 Clinet for $605. We've got 4 of those. That's epic. That's
Clinet. The other. There's the 100-pointer speaking there at that price, because I think that's probably the most expensive Clinet there is.
Ever. I mean,
it is really, really good. It's really, really good wine. So, but
Clinay is one of, I will say, the 1989, quintuple 100-pointer score where even Jancis Robinson gave it 100 points out of 20, I guess, is what I heard.
Unlikely, but anyway.
That's a joke, everyone. But like that notwithstanding, I feel like Clinay tends to be a tremendous value from Bordeaux. From my perspective, I think it drinks fantastically, and it seemingly comes in around 100, oftentimes even under 100. I think 2022, I should look up the EP price, but I think it was just above 100. But 2019, 2020s, I was grabbing, I believe, for 80, $90. I'd have to go check. Long story short. I mean,
the 05 is 140 and the 2010 is 130. So, and then the 15 is $95 reserve. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of value, I think, in Clinay. Some of these more recent vintages, these obviously aren't new this week. The other vintages of Clinay I'm mentioning, but still, it does pay to mention that the 15s at under $100. I mean, that's a good value for such a phenomenal vintage.
I think Clinay is just consistently a tremendous value. Like it's a tremendous value in general. So, like, just to give you an example. Even the 2022, which is expensive, still is coming in right around $110, which I'm not saying that's cheap for wine, but for a producer like Clinay, who produces amazing wine, which I believe go head to head with producers that are charging 1.5, 2, 3 times what Clinay is charging, that's a tremendous value. The 2019s, my price on the 2019 was $75.
Wow.
And you could, and that 2019 was an epic vintage. Solid Tracker community average was $90. I still think that, Clinay is just in general, as a producer, is tremendous value. 2019 Pape Clements are in at 85. And the only reason I mention them is because the 2020s were just released at 78.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, 2019 epic vintage. But, you kind of see where they can go after a few years. This 09 Duhart Milan Rothschild, we have 6 of those at 110, and then we've got the 18 and the 19 in each for 65. But I thought that was interesting. And, I love to mention Malascott Saint-Exupéry. We've got 4 of the 2009s in at 115. And actually, we've got 1 at 115, and we've got 3 at 120 in case you want to pay $5 more. We've got
it's kind of steep for that wine. 120.
It's going up.
It seems like it's creeping up. Yeah, it's going up in price because I want to say it was not over 100 not too long ago.
Well, this vintage
19 is only 55. I mean, the 19 is a way better deal. Obviously, you've got to wait, 10 years or whatever, but still.
But the 09 was
why is there such a discrepancy in price between the 09 and that seems strange to me because they got relatively same exact scores.
They got similar scores, but
relatively similar scores between the 09 and 19, and the 19 is less than half the 09 price. So I would jump on the 19 and just sit on it for a while.
Yeah, the 19s are phenomenal.
That's a deal. That's a deal.
Well, I actually went to Costco recently, and they had the 19s for
how much was it?
$40.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's $39.
Really?
At Costco.
That is a steal. 19 Malasco was $40 at Costco.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I have photos. I was taking photos going like, I think everyone was looking at me going like, why is does he work for a competitor?
It's got to be less than futures price. That's crazy. It
was less than the futures price. My futures price was $42. So I actually paid $2 less buying it at Costco. Yeah. I should probably go back and get more. But
let's bring it back to reality. I know we've got like a lot of other French wine to cover. So were there any other Bordeaux picks for you?
The only other ones that I'll say, 61 Alsace for 1,000.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But 2022 on Premier was 756, and then this '09 Chapelong Mondo for 135, and then we've got the 2010 for 140. I think that's a nice producer, and those prices didn't seem crazy to me.
It's getting pushed up. It's
getting pushed up.
Definitely going up. The 14 was in not too long ago, and it was like $75 or something, and it definitely got bid up quite a bit. I don't know if it hit 100, but it was getting pushed up.
I think it's just like EP is bringing everything else up because they're raising the price of EP. And
what does EP stand for?
On Premier. On Premier. They're raising price of On Premier. And so everyone goes down. Everyone goes to back vintages because they're on Premier. Everyone goes to back vintages. Right. What other Bordeaux do you got? What did I miss?
Just a couple, 79 and 89 Bajan Haut-Brion, which I thought was interesting. Don't see older vintages of it. Well, don't see much of this period, but both great vintages for Haut-Brion. Anyway, the 79 is 160 and the 89 is 185. So not remotely close to the same wine, but still well-respected producer from great older vintages and should be tasting excellent. 90 Calon Segur, I saw that's really, really, really good at 220. And the 95, which I also think is great, is at 145. And I think, there's a 61 Cute, which I know it's not the best vintage for sweet wine from Bordeaux, but it is kind of incredible to find a 61 anything from Bordeaux for under, $300. So I thought 61 Cute at 150 was very cool. 82 Du Cru, there's three of those at 315. 05 Fon Roque, I thought was a deal. It's at 27, got a couple of bids on it. 81 Guiraud, speaking of actually much better Sauternes vintage, Jeff, hint, 1981, $80 for that Guiraud. There's some 05 and 09 Opailly, 05 at 135 and 09 at 165. 98 Haut-Brion, I still think this is kind of like the deal Haut-Brion still at 685, obviously not cheap, but compared to all these other incredible vintages, 98 was really, really good for that stuff. And I think we covered pretty much everything else. Chez 95, 25, I thought that was a good deal also. 86 La Rosée for 65. It's a nice wine that's not expensive and, plenty of time on it. 2010 Latour Pomerol, I thought wasn't bad at 8. It's got a bid at 81. 61 Leva Las Casas at 600 and 82 at 340. 90 Margaux. That was the other first growth I picked, was the 90 Margaux. It's just so incredible. And I think that was about 86 Pichon Lalande in 250. That's another incredible wine. 75 Riosec for 80. Another good deal in I think for Sauternes for sure. Great vintage and not expensive. And that wrapped up mine.
Let's talk Burgundy. In the land of Burgundy, I'm dubbing this DRC week because we had 5 bottles of DRC coming to auction, so a bevy of stuff. 70, actually 4 of them were 1970. Oh no, 2 of them were 1970 Echezos, and then 2 of them were 1970 Latache, and then we have a 1970 Daubigny Romanée Conti. So
I should specify too real quick. There's a rather lengthy note, and I spoke to my colleague Paul, who represents the cellar, and he actually opened some wines from this collection, and they were in phenomenal condition. So it does describe sort of how, previously to its professional storage, it was in a subterranean residential storage, but he said the wines were great. He actually had a chance to try some DRC from the cellar, and he said it was amazing. So these are in really, really nice shape. Those I should say that have this kind of lengthy, note about the 25s in professional storage. The other one, the 87 Echezot that's new this week, is from a different collection. But the 67 Latache is also from that same cellar I was just talking about, and the 70 Romanée Conti as well. So the one that stood out to me was the 02 mag of the Von Romanée for 5,200, which you don't see, a whole lot of mags popping up all the time of this stuff. So that that looked cool to me.
What about 02 Cocheterie Corton Charlemagne for $5,100?
Yeah, serious Chardonnay. That's a lot.
Serious Chardonnay. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, so we had, sorry, I said six. There were 5. There were 10 bottles of Domaine Romani Conti coming to auction this week, right? Including that mag. So really cool DRC stuff. And then you get this 02 Costerie Corton Charlemagne. And then you get an 06 Domaine Loire Claude de Vougeot, right? Also for 5,100. By the way, we have 5 of those.
Yeah.
There are 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right. Really cool. So some really cool stuff coming in at the high end. I saw this. Did you see this Domaine Le Flave, a Bourgogne Blanc from 2000 that has 4 bids on it already? Started at $45 and is already at $49. What are the chances that does not hit $100?
I don't know. That's kind of steep. What vintage is it again?
2000 Domaine Le Flave Bourgogne Blanc.
2000.
I mean,
excuse me. I can't even pronounce English words, much less French. Yeah, no, it'll probably go. I mean, considering like Calamare over $100, you're probably right. I'd imagine that this will get pushed up as well, because anything Domaine Le Flave, and especially before 2011, is amazing. So yeah.
I mean, sorry, is that investment advice you're giving, Paul? Is that investment advice? Okay.
You're just going to pay more for Old Le Fleuve.
Old Le Fleuve.
Or any Le Fleuve, for that matter.
Look, it's not investment advice, Jeff. It's an observation. 15, Georges Roumier, Morin Saint-Denis, Claude de Bussière.
Yeah, Bussière.
This one, we got one for 400. We've got this 1988 Domaine Vincent Davasseau, Chablis Le Clos, for 300. I thought that one was interesting. And 05 Bruno Clar, Gevrey Chambertin Le Casetier for 140. We've got 3 of those. And then we have this Marquis d'Angeville.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Bruno Clar one. It's interesting because there's like a whole sort of, mini vertical of great vintages of Casetier from Bruno Clar, which I thought was exciting. 05, 140, 09, 165, and then the 18 at 135. They're not crazily expensive, and the wines are really, really good. And even they're great. There's Clos de Bez 88 too for 300, that should be phenomenal. I don't know if you saw that one too.
By the way, we say not very expensive for Burgundy, right? Let's talk 1994 Marquis d'Angeville Volnay Thiele Pieds for $90. I thought, yeah, $90 for d'Angeville is a really good price, right? That's a steal right there, and it's got some age on it.
It's a curious vintage, but it and it's got a lot of trackers on it. You see, there's 18 trackers, so somebody's gonna bite.
Well, that's what I noticed. I was like, I saw d'Angeville and it's a 94, and then I looked like 18 trackers. I'm like, of course, there's 18 trackers for d'Angeville under 100. Even from an off vintage, it's like d'Angeville is usually north of $100, right? So 90. I think is a steal either way. 2017 Comte Lafon, Montier Blanc, has 2 bids, started at 65. It's up to 73. So that one I think could also potentially, it's got 19 trackers. That one I think could break 100. By the way, speaking of
it's considerably less than most of the Meursault, but yeah, I think it's Montier, it's not Meursault, but it's still going to get pushed up.
It's still going to get pushed up. By the way, I'll say the Davasseau Chablis Le Clos, or not that. Sorry, sorry.
Your vowels are like switched. You want to say Davasseau Le Clos.
Davasseau Le Clos. Not that. I actually meant the 05 Bruno Clar that we were talking about. That one has 19 trackers as well. So I think that one's definitely going to get a bid. And then the 2019 Arnaud.
Yeah, the Davasseau looks really interesting. Color on that is phenomenal. It looks great. I was just looking at it on the site, and it looks really, really good.
And then we've got this 2019 Arnaud Le Chaux, Latricier Chambertin. We have 2 of those for $2,100 a piece.
Yep, that's the Arnaud Le Chaux land. It's crazy prices.
What did I miss, Paul?
Where do we start with how much you miss? Let's see. 05, there's some Oudolo Noyat Beaumont 05 480, which is not surprising that those 05s have been just climbing. 13 Suchot at 240. And then there's some of these really, really excellent wines from Alvina Pernod, the Polin Montrachet Folatiers 2020. There's actually a 3-pack set for 450, and then there's 4 singles at 155. There's some Arnaud Ant Volnay, which is interesting. We generally see the Chardonnay, the Meursault, I mean, and it's very, very expensive. But the Volnay, I'm not familiar with the red wines, but the Centeno, 2 of those up at 200. There's some 66 Barolais Corton, and this, I believe, is from the same cellar I was talking about earlier, that my colleague Paul Swanson had tasted wines from, and he tried actually one of the Barolais wines and said it was amazing. And those are not expensive, 145 for the 66 Barolais Corton. A very interesting backstory. We've talked about it before on the site, and we don't need to get into it now because there's so many other things to cover. But we talked about the Bruno Claire wines, the Cocherie Corton Charlemagne, the kind of flagship from that producer. Some great art, actually. There's 88 Comte Armand Claude Zepinot, 195. There's 2010 as well at 215. So this is another example of these kind of decade, spanning examples from some great producers. There's the somewhat controversial 1990 Comte Vouet Musigny at 950. I think Clive Coates gave us a 20-point score, which is unprecedented, like hardly ever happens. But then you talk to other people and they're not as big of fans as Mr. Coates, but it is an incredible wine in my experience. 16 Denis Morte Clos Vougeot, a couple of those at 355. Also 09 Lavaux Saint-Jacques, a couple of those at 250. There's a 2010 Cécile Tremblay Chamon-Musigny Fusselat at 670. Very expensive stuff, but that's Tremblay. It's very sought after. Some great Georges Meunier wine in as well, 09 Louis Saint-Georges Chagnot at 325. There's some Hubert Lamy, 16, 17 Saint-Aubins. The 16 is quite expensive. The Henri is 140. Then the 17, 26, looks like a couple of bids there. And Hubert Lamy, also the Freedom 17 at 90. Also more 88s, a lot of 88s in this week. 88 Boulet Pommard Rougien at 45. I thought was a very reasonable price. I don't know Boulet that well, or actually at all for that, but for something from that great vintage, it seemed like a deal. 18 Lorenzo Mercure Champ-Martin Cuvée Carline at 50 seemed pretty reasonable. And also 16 Lorenzo Mercure Pièce 15 or Pièce 15 at 60. There's some Pavlo wine, Savigny La Dominode 05 for 60. You mentioned that Dovisat Les Clos looks pretty wild, 88, another 88 again, this time in white form. 02 Vauquerey Chablis Les Clos at 50. I thought was a deal for 20-year-old Les Clos from a good producer, not Dovisat or Ravenel, but still serious wine. Mag of 2000 Rouget Von Romane stuck out. I thought that was amazing at 340. That's about as little as you're ever going to pay for Rouget, especially that's that old. I might try and bid on that if no one does. Mikulski, there's some Meursaults, which are always very interesting. Goutte d'Or, they're getting bids. So I think, speaking of pushing stuff over $100, the 18 Goutte d'Or will probably go, I would imagine, north of 100. And then there's 19 Goutte d'Or at 150. Let's see. 01 Gerard Chavy Pouilly Montrachet at 50. I didn't think was expensive. There's some more Barolais. Let's see. Clos Vougeot 1935 at 285, which is not a terrible price to pay for something that's almost 90 years old. 2021 Henri Magnan Gevrey Chambertin Premier Cru 4 Caractère, which I think is 185 for those wines. I don't know about the Henri Magnan, but that's a fairly brand new release. There's some Meunier and 2010. The 07's 180. The 10's 205. Jean Griveaux, Les Chamois 01. For 56, I thought was quite reasonable for Jean Griveaux, especially 20, plus years old. 02 Von Romane Les Beaumont at 245. It's more typical for that vineyard, obviously. 87 Jean Tardy Clos Vougeot at 60. There's an 86 Dren Bon Clédemouche, Bon Greve, Echezeaux. I mean, there's just, I could keep going. I feel like I'm just like going on and on. There's so many. But anyway, we were talking about other great Volnay. There's Lafarge, 16 Chens, 16 Clos de Duc. There's some 18 Pierre Girardin whites, which seem very reasonable. They have bids because of that. 18 Chassagne Abbé de Morgeau for 71. Also Dantochien Saint-Aubin, 18 at 60. I had to mention that Colin-Marais au Bout du Monde at 120. Speaking of expensive Bourgogne Blanc. 88 Potier Briosset Bourgogne at 35. There's $35 bottle of 1988 red Burgundy. That's probably going to get grabbed up because that is a crazy deal. It might be over the hill, but still, it's pretty awesome to find an example like that. 04 René Angel, on the other hand, Clos Vougeot is at 1990. There's some Sylvain Catillard in the Bourgogne Rouge, which is 120. Unfortunately, that's sort of the entry-level price for Sylvain Catillard. And there's also 10 Von Romane at 240. And that rounds out my Burgundy picks for this week.
All right, you're going to take a quick jaunt around France?
Yeah, did you have some stuff from other places? There's some great champagne in this week. Not too many, and then, there were some few other things too.
I think I know the champagne you're going to mention because you talk about this all the time. I think it's your favorite one. You love the guest producer for this one. That's right, folks. Paul Walker loves him. So his favorite wine champagne of all time is 2008 Moet Chandon Dom Perignon Lady Gaga limited edition rosé. Right. And I know you, because you love everything Lady Gaga.
What vintage is it?
08. It's 08.
Oh, sweet. But that pushes up the price, right? Yeah, $425.
She made it, I think. I think she picked the grapes, she stomped them, she
not likely. She was probably on tour.
Did the whole dosage, and she spent years turning the bottles every day and did the disgorgement and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's impressive. Yeah.
In order to get your name on the label, you've got to do all that work for the winery. I didn't know.
I know. That's right. That's right. Like, you want your name on our label, you have to come produce the wine yourself. So there's only one bottle because it is a lot of work. Well, I thought it was interesting. We have the 96 Salon Les Mesnil Blanc de Blancs for $12.30, a bunch of Veuve. But the really interesting stuff from my perspective was, on the Veuve side, the 88 Le Grand Dame. I thought that was kind of interesting, but I really was interested in this non-vintage, and I know I'm always going to mispronounce this, non-vintage Egely Aurier Brut Premisse, which already has bids on it.
I don't know this wine.
I think it's fascinating. I don't know it either, but I see it come up and it always gets action. I really want a bottle of that wine, actually. I've got this non-vintage GH Mum Brut Cordon Rouge for $61. Already has a bid on it. We've got a couple of bottles from Marguet Grand Cru Shaman 17 Rosé, and then a Marguet Human 18. The Shaman 17 Rosé is 60, and the Human non-vintage Human 18 is 41. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, these ones they're pretty hip. I've had I think the Shaman 17.
And you're not
different
designation. Yeah.
No, I know I'm not, but the wines are, and they're very sort of natural, is what I mean to say. Very lean and mean, but if that's your style, they're good.
What about this 05 Mali L'Intemporel Grand Cru Brut for $45? That one caught my eye as well.
Mailly L'Intemporel. You've got to pronounce this. People know what to look for. But anyway, yeah, it's cheap. And then giving you flack about your pronunciation. I hope you don't take it too personally.
Every night I go to bed crying
Yeah, no, I don't
Why
know those
doesn't
Mailly
Paul like
wines.
me and my pronunciations?
There's a demi-sec and a Grand Cru Brut, Temporel. I don't know either. I don't know Mailly at all. I actually picked those two just because I wasn't familiar with it, and they're not expensive.
Yeah, they're not egregiously priced. The other one was this 2019 Charles and Julie Dufour Binôme, which I thought was interesting because that has like, I think 2 bids on it, actually.
Binôme. Yeah.
Binôme. Yeah, biodynamic.
Got a photo of a brooding, like a brooding dude in the vineyard and someone else being sassy. And
the photo looks like
there's also looks like some verbiage. It's weird because there's like did you look at the label?
Yeah, I looked at the label and the photo looks like
it's like
in the late 80s,
looks like
early
a
90s.
photo is covering like it looks like a Polaroid that's covering the rest of like a more formal label or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
it is, huh?
Yeah.
Somebody put like a Polaroid on there.
Yeah, it looks like a stick-on Polaroid, and then there's you can what does it say? Autocollant. Yeah, I have no idea, but this got bids right out the gate at I think right away. Yeah, on Sunday, and so I'm sure, and 15 trackers too. So I'm sure that'll get some more.
For sure. Anything I missed?
No back label photo. I got to bug Ryan about a back label photo because there might be some more information there, but.
You definitely should. Anything else I missed?
Yeah, we talked about Chatillon in the recap. I think it was 02 that went for 450. Anyway, there's the 15 Chatillon at 240. So seemingly quite reasonable next to the 02, but obviously quite a bit younger, different, style of vintage. Anyway, 3 of those at 240 caught my eye. Yeah, 96 Salon. That's just, that's wild. Let's see, the Margay wines we mentioned, the Mailly wines, the Aigli Oyer. Yeah, I picked a lot of the same ones you did. I think that I'm curious about that Brut Promise too, because I don't know that designation. Oh, there's Chateau Taillé hors série, which I think is like, I want to say it's like
I saw that one.
Limited
for 140.
Yeah, Disgorge 1020. I think this is like, it's like hors série. It's like out of category or out of normal production. It's got bottle numbers out of 3170. Anyway, this is cool. It's also got quite a few bids on it for the 2 bottles up to 140 now. And yeah, besides that Binôme we just talked about, that those are my champagne picks.
Let's talk Loire for just a second. There's not a ton, but I thought interesting was the 2016 Bernard Baudry Chenin Le Croix Boisset. Already has bids at $36. We got a 2016 and a 2017. And then this 04 Philippe Delasvaux, Couteau du Lion, Sélection des Grains.
And yes, great wine. It's really good.
I literally am thinking I might bid on that stuff. I just think there's there's tremendous value in a lot of the Loire wines. They're really good stuff. And for some reason, I don't know, they don't seem to get up to Burgundy or Bordeaux prices just yet. Not all of them anyway. Going to Provence, for Domaine Tempier Bandol, Cabasso. We've got 2 of those at 135 apiece.
I knew you were going to talk about the Tempier ones.
Well, and then we've got the 1990 Bandol Tortine at 185, and then an 89 Domaine de Trevelyan Lesbao for 235.
Yeah, Trevelyan's just crazy these days. It's bonkers. I had that on my list as well. Les Beaux 89, 215. Wait, did you say 285?
235. 235 for the.
So it's gotten it's gotten a couple bids since Sunday. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
The Trevelyan wines always get a couple. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen those go with less than one, less than like 2 bids.
This is more of I want to say though, this is like, we've been talking about wines that over the last few years have blown up. Trevelyan's not actually gotten that crazy, except until I would say within only the last year or 2. Like just a couple of years ago, well, 89 is going to be more, but 90s and 2000s were all under $100, and now that is definitely not the case. But it's like slow to the rise, but they're definitely getting bid up. I wanted to mention a couple more Rhones, and then I think we're out of time. There's 89 Beaucastel at 165. Great wine. Always still drinking really well. 97 Reals to 1200. Those always pop in. It's fun to see. And then there's an 18 Chimère Mag, which, Jeff, if you weren't aware, is a joint collaboration between, I don't want to misquote myself here, but it's Manfred Krankel from Sine Qua Non and Philippe Camby from, who is it? It's, oh God, why am I forgetting? It's a Chateauneuf producer, super famous, and I'm totally spacing on. Oh yeah, it's Clos Saint-Jean. Excuse me, Clos Saint-Jean. Anyway.
Oh
yeah, they come up every so often, and it's allocated. I think if it's its own mailing list that I believe is distributed by Krankel. I can't remember for sure. Anyway, it's cool to see those. There's Maga 18 for $630, and it's got a bid. And that was it for me.
Well then, with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been WineBid's Finally Hammered. Jeff Gerd, Paul Walker, wishing you happy bidding, and cheers.
Cheers.